We got an epic video today using some acrylic paint. And you know, people always ask me about purchasing original work. I almost never sell original canvases, but today's video, the painting we do is for sale. Stay to the end of the video for more information. I appreciate you watching the video. Smash the thumbs up if you love acrylic paint. Let's start from the beginning. Acrylic painting, it's how I learned to paint. It was all with acrylics. I have a pretty solid amount of experience. You know, all the paintings behind me hanging in this little gallery in my studio is all acrylic paint. I started off learning with spray paint, graffiti characters, that slowly moved to canvas work, and I worked my way making a bunch of wacky characters on canvas, and I slowly got more familiar with acrylic paint. I also do the big multi-layered stencil projects, which is mostly spray paint, but there is an important stage with acrylic outlining. So I've used fluid acrylic, solid, different companies and materials, different mediums for acrylic. I only pretty much paint with oils now. I don't do much of the old school characters with acrylic. I haven't really in a while. I still love it, and it's part of my kind of artistic history. We're gonna do some acrylic painting today, kind of throw it back to the old school, and we got something special. I got a set of acrylic paint sent to me. Usually when companies or people reach out to send me products to review, I almost always say no. But this was a different scenario. Color by Feliks, if you're familiar with his social media, he's an amazing artist. He's a young content creator. He's, you know, if you're in the social media art scene at all, guaranteed you've seen his videos. They're all mesmerizing. He reached out and asked me if I wanted to check out his acrylic set, and I want to support him. You know, he's a fellow content creator. Also on Amazon, there's only 5-star reviews, so that it was incredibly enticing for me. They look beautiful. Let's check it out. So already I could tell with these color list names, you know, they're just like oil painting names, all the classics: vermilion, crimson red, cobalt, burnt sienna, titanium white. So that already gives me a professional perspective on this set, because some paint sets, they don't use those professional names and you're kind of like, oh, is it gonna be good colors? Wow, look at that, cool branding. Yellows, reds, green, blue, cool. It's like warm, cool. I dig it. It's a great price for the amount of paint you get. I think this is under $40, which is amazing. Let's paint. Gotta love a nice little cinematic sequence. All right, we're ready, we're set up. You know, I feel like people always ask about paintbrushes and weird utensils like that, because everyone's concerned. You know, it's really about how you use it. But these, my friends, these are $6 to $7 packs right here. All right, so about $1 per brush in this one. Maybe this one's a little more, but quite cheap. The cheapest you can really get. That's all I'm gonna be using for this self-portrait, and then also the bigger painting we're gonna do on the canvas. And I'll take you through probably the character more. Right now I'm just gonna do the self-portrait, get familiar with the fast drying paint, and use a bunch of different weird colors. So let's begin. This isn't a glaze, what I'm about to do. This is just me covering up some more of these lines to, you know, this was just first marks, and I'm gonna go back in with a darker color. This is similar to what I do with oil painting. It's just, you can't move around these original lines like with oil, because they're kind of set in. So I'm just making layers of outlines until I find my proportions, and then we'll just start blocking in color. Same thing as before, I am just kind of looking for my shapes, and I'm just kind of like going over outlines and outlines. You know, this is kind of me being lazy and just doing it a bunch when I could do it probably first try if I took my time, but trying to nail the proportions. I'm pretty close. This will be the last pass, and then we'll throw some colors on. Now that it sort of looks like me, we're gonna start working up the colors. And how I like to work with acrylic specifically is loose, like very watered down paint to thick paint. So thin to thick kind of. And you could use this matte medium, which kind of, you know, makes the paint more fluid but doesn't lose much opacity. But I'm pretty much just gonna be using water, some of this, and just washing on colors for the certain sections, skin tones, and then slowly build thicker paint on top of it. fill you in. We're having an absolute blast. I love painting myself. It's such a good time, but I was approaching this originally like I would oil painting, and it was clear within 20 minutes that those strategies and techniques weren't lining up at all, pretty obviously. You know, acrylic paint, it dries so fast. I was rushing to mix the colors and not have it dry out, but then also the opacities are so different. So I was really starting to approach it like a watercolor with all those washes, kind of working from light to dark. Watercolor is the same thing. You can't really work dark to light. You can only work darker. So you start with the lightest, like this side of the face, and then I was just slowly building those values darker and darker on the other side. So that was kind of the strategy and what I'm doing now. The proportions, they're whatever. I'm not super worried about it. I'm being loose, not super concerned with how clean it is. The eyes are super wonky and buggy. I struggle so hard with eyes, but we're gonna spend another hour to kind of fix all that up, try to get the resemblance, and then that'll be it. You know, a few hour self-portrait study, but let's continue onward. Not the best self-portrait I've ever done. I don't think this was super successful. That's fine. Newsflash, not everything I paint I'm super happy with. A large percentage of the practice of fine arts is actually failing, and I welcome that, because that means I know what I'm doing wrong and what to improve upon, you know. So it wasn't the paint's fault. The acrylic paint worked great as a product. My just, you know, strategy going from oil to acrylic, you know, the execution just really wasn't on point, and that's fine. It was still a fun 2-hour session, good practice. You know, it's funny, the first self-portrait I did, I think, was the only other time I used acrylic for a self-portrait, and that was on a 9-inch clay board about 3 years ago. And it's funny, this self-portrait reminds me of another one I did fairly recently in oil, similar pose, similar lighting, boom. And you know, I think this one is just way more successful in terms of the dimension of a portrait and the face and the resemblance. But you know, that just happens. I'm not super disappointed. You know, that's life. We're gonna test out the acrylic on a more fantastical character. So we're gonna do that right now. Let's begin. This character was completely manufactured on the canvas. You know, there was no preparation. It was fully improvised, but I have quite a lot of experience with designing these characters, the features of the face, you know, the brain, the design that's very tedious, but it's like a giant puzzle. I love it. It says SLEW in the brain in case you missed it. I've done many of these characters in the past. You know, it's kind of like my signature character, I guess you could say. And I love to do different iterations and renditions of these guys. So I'm super happy to have this pudgy, cute, goofy Cyclops added to the family, I guess you could say. Another child is born. But we're ready to move to the color stage. We're gonna do similar technique as the self-portrait, just laying on color, flattening it out, and building upon those layers. Let's get to it. I thought I'd slow down this video also and mix some colors. These are just, you know, little containers I've had, I think, since I was 15. Hundreds of layers of paint, but they work great just to mix some colors, and we're gonna be glazing, so I kind of want it contained, and I could add my matte medium more or less to what I want in a contained area, as well as water. So we're gonna do like skin tones, and then the brain will be paint, and we're gonna zoom in maybe so you can see me mix, I guess, some more, shall we? Let's go like that. Medium, we're gonna start with a mid-tone, so I'm actually gonna mix this with a yellow ochre. Flesh tint, yellow ochre, let's see how that, a medium color. There's gonna be so many layers of paint that I'm not concerned really. I just want some base. I want some base, light and dark, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna add some of this, which is the matte medium, healthy amount, and we're also just gonna drip some water in there, you know, and we just want it real thin paint. So I like to work with thin paint. You don't have to. That's what I like to do. I like it to drip off, so I'm gonna add even more water. We want that stuff real thin. Making a mess. It's great. It's great fun. Boom. So we're gonna do the first layer together. I got rags ready because this is all just easy to wipe off acrylic paint. I made it a little darker while I switched up the camera angle. And we're just gonna go like this. Not worried about nothing. Boom, now we're gonna do it to the brain. That's reddish, pinkish color. I don't know how I made the mistake of making the brain red when the original character was a green brain. So I did that green wash and I kind of lost the outline of the brain. So I just re-outlined it, a minor setback, no problem. We got that, we're gonna make the brain green. We're gonna do the shadows on this side and carry on. It certainly is crazy times in the world with the coronavirus and, you know, where I'm from, everyone's quarantined. So I thought it'd be fitting to make an equally crazy character. This Cyclops has got to be the wackiest Cyclops I've ever made, with the super realistic kind of blending and then, you know, the illustrative outline and obviously the metallic silver background. But I was super excited to just rekindle some of these acrylic techniques I haven't used in a while. Shout out to Color by Feliks for sending me his paint set. I would certainly recommend it for any beginner who's looking to get into acrylic paint. You know, there's a bunch of amazing colors, a large amount of high quality paint for a great price. So I'll leave the Amazon link in the description if you want to check it out. Thanks again to Feliks. And yeah, people always ask me about prints and merchandise and things like that. It is in the works. It has been for a while. The whole virus situation is kind of slowing that down, but just be patient. It's gonna be worth it. Also, this painting is for sale. If you're seriously interested, DM me on Instagram to inquire about a price. I'm only gonna be shipping this within the United States. I'm sorry, international shipping just gets kind of crazy and expensive, so only in the United States. And yeah, let me know what you think about the whole project, the self-portrait, these videos, what you want to see. It's funny because, you know, the introverts and artists of the world aren't really fazed by this. It's just kind of a everyday keep on going. So I got a bunch of crazy projects in the pipeline. Stay tuned. You know what I mean? We're gonna get weird together. Subscribe for all the epic projects coming out real soon. See you in the next video.